If your garden feels more like a woodland retreat than a sunny meadow, don't be discouraged. Shade doesn't mean you can't grow vegetables. In fact, some of the tastiest and most rewarding crops actually prefer cooler, less sunny conditions where they grow sweeter, slower and often healthier. The trick is knowing which vegetables adapt to low light and how to nurture them properly. At Timeless Crops Haven, we're sharing the top 10 shade-loving vegetables that turn dim corners into thriving harvest spots, complete with growing and harvesting tips that actually work. Radishes are one of the quickest crops you can grow, and partial shade makes them even better. Varieties like Cherry Belle and French Breakfast mature in as little as 21 to 30 days. Sow seeds half an inch deep and an inch apart, thinning seedlings to 2 inches once they sprout. Keep the soil evenly moist as dry conditions cause splitting and tough roots. Harvest when they reach marble to golf ball size. Leaving them too long will make them woody and overly spicy, so it's best to enjoy them young and crisp. Kale is a resilient leafy green that performs well even with limited sunlight. Popular types like lacinato, red Russian and winter boar are perfectly suited for shaded patches. Give them 12 to 18 inches of space in soil rich in compost and side dress midway through the season with additional organic matter. Begin harvesting when the leaves are hand-sized, pulling from the outside first. If you're in a cooler climate, let the frost touch the leaves before harvesting. This natural chill sweetens the flavour, turning kale into one of the best-tasting greens in your garden. Beets reward gardeners twice, first with sweet, earthy roots and then with nutritious greens. Shade slows their growth slightly, but varieties such as Detroit Dark Red and Early Wonder still perform well. For better germination, soak seeds for 24 hours before sowing them, half an inch deep and an inch apart. Thin to 3 inches once seedlings emerge. Keep the soil moist and side dress with compost halfway through the season. Harvest roots when they're between 1.5 and 3 inches across, usually 50 to 70 days in partial shade, and don't toss the tops. They're as valuable as the roots. Lettuce is one of the most rewarding vegetables for shade gardeners because it actually prefers protection from intense sun. Loose-leaf varieties like red Sales and black-seeded Simpson are especially reliable, while compact romaine types like Little Gem also thrive. Sow seeds 1/4 inch deep and thin seedlings once they're a couple of inches tall. Leave 6 to 8 inches between loose-leaf plants and up to 12 inches for heading types. By succession planting every 2 weeks, you'll have a constant supply of tender greens. Harvest outer leaves regularly or cut full heads before they bolt. Peas are surprisingly quite good at coping with partial shade, especially in those warmer climates where direct sun can, overwhelm them. Sugar Snap, Oregon Giant and Green Arrow are strong performers in lower light. Now plant seeds about 1 inch deep and 2 inches apart in early spring or fall when temperatures are cooler. Even bush types benefit from trellises, since shade tends to make these plants stretch a bit taller. For snap and snow peas, it's best to harvest the pods while they're still tender and flat. For shelling peas, just wait until the pods plump up but remain a nice bright green, and pick frequently to keep the plants producing. Arugula's signature peppery taste actually softens in shade, which honestly many gardeners prefer. Astro and Apollo are 2 varieties that grow quite well in low light. Sow seeds 1/4 inch deep, spacing them about 1 inch apart before thinning to 3 or 4 inches. Arugula grows rapidly, so, succession sowing every 2 to 3 weeks ensures a steady supply. Baby leaves are ready when they're just 2 to 3 inches tall, while mature plants can be harvested leaf by leaf. Shade not only tempers its flavour, but also keeps it from bolting too quickly in the summer heat. Carrots don't really demand full sun if you choose the right type. Shorter varieties such as Oxheart, Paris Market or Chantenay excel in dappled shade. Prepare your soil deeply, removing rocks and clumps that might cause, misshapen roots. Sow seeds a quarter-inch deep and thin carefully to 2 or 3 inches apart. Carrots need consistently moist soil during germination, so water lightly each day until the seedlings establish. In shade, you can expect maturity to take 2 or 3 weeks longer than the packet suggests. The reward, though, is roots that are often sweeter thanks to the cooler growing conditions. Fast-growing Asian greens like bok choy tatsoi, mizuna and komatsuna really do love partial shade. They appreciate cool conditions and, provide quick returns. Sow seeds about a quarter-inch deep and 1 inch apart before thinning seedlings to about 6 to 10 inches. For best results, feed every 2 weeks with a nitrogen-rich fertilizer such as 2 tablespoons of fish emulsion diluted in 1 gallon of water. Baby leaves are ready in just 21 days, while mature greens take around 40 to 50 days. Certain types like tatsoi regrow after cutting just above soil level, giving you multiple harvests from a single sowing. Few crops are as well suited to shady gardens as spinach. In full sun it bolts quickly once the weather warms, but in cooler shade it thrives, with slower growth and honestly sweeter leaves. Choose varieties like Bloomsdale or Emperor, which are especially bolt-resistant. Sow seeds in early spring or late summer, leaving 3 to 5 inches between plants. Keep the soil moist but not soggy to ensure steady growth. Harvest by picking outer leaves regularly, and the plant will continue producing fresh foliage for weeks. Bush beans are among the few legumes that don't mind shade. Unlike pole beans, which demand more sunlight, bush varieties like Provider and Contender yield decently with just a few hours of direct sun. Sow seeds 1 inch deep and 3 to 4 inches apart after the risk of frost has passed. In shaded gardens, plant rows slightly closer together to make the most of available light. Avoid overhead watering, as shaded areas hold moisture longer, which can, invite fungal problems. Harvest beans when young and tender, and keep picking frequently to encourage steady production. A shady garden isn't really complete without herbs, and many of them actually grow best out of direct sun. Mint is particularly vigorous in shade, parsley thrives with only partial sunlight, and cilantro, interestingly, actually prefers protection from the afternoon heat. Chives and lemon balm are equally dependable, making them great choices for these spots. Most herbs prefer well-drained soil and, moderate fertility. Water when the top inch of soil feels dry, as shaded soil tends to stay moist longer than you might expect. Regular harvesting encourages bushy growth, and any extra leaves can be dried or frozen for winter use. To get the most from your shaded garden, you might want to use reflective surfaces such as light-coloured mulch or maybe even white fencing to bounce light back onto your plants. If trees are casting just a bit too much shade, consider careful pruning to allow some dappled sunlight through. Rotate your crops to adapt to changing sun patterns across the seasons. It's really quite important. Rich soil is essential in shady plots, so be sure to work in plenty of compost for strong root development. Finally, water wisely. Since shaded soil holds moisture longer, always check before watering to avoid root rot. Shade gardening, honestly, is not about compromise, but about making the most of conditions many gardeners tend to overlook. Vegetables like radishes, kale, beets and spinach prove that low light doesn't have to mean low yield. By learning what thrives in those dimmer corners and giving it proper care, you can enjoy harvests just as abundant and flavourful as any sun-filled garden. At Timeless Crops Haven, we truly believe every gardener deserves success, regardless of light levels. If this guide helped you see shade in a new light, do subscribe to the channel and share this with your gardening friends. Together, we can grow thriving gardens no matter the conditions.